Three, two, one, two, one, and they are off. So it'll take a little bit for us to get on back on track with the delay. But for introductions, I am Army of One. I helped Herc administrate the Randomizer Showcase tournament we had last year, a good bit of last year. And of course, everyone here knows about Autumn Out of Habit. She's another part of the... Oh, looks like there's a bit of a desync. Is that going to get fixed, Dark Moon? Okay, good to know. I mean, we don't want any show of impropriety. We don't want Herc to be 20 seconds ahead or so.
That's fair.
Anyway, I'm Army of One. I helped run the Randomizer Showcase tournament, and I'm joined in the booth by Chris. Chris, why don't you give us a short introduction?
Hi, I'm They Are Chris. I'm a Metroid Fusion speedrunner, and I also run the Randomizer as well. Just a tournament participant and a big fan of both Autumn and Herc. Today, it looks like we're going to be running, with the latest version of the Randomizer, something new, a sector shuffle seed here. One of the first things we can point out is in that intro screen. It's a little late now, I guess, but we can see that the different levels that the different sectors they're going to are mixed up in a different order. In this seed, it looks like sectors 3 and 6 are going to be the two sectors they have access to. That's going to change their routing and what checks and items they have access to, which should make for a very different run than you may have seen from the Metroid Fusion Randomizer if you've seen them in the past.
And as far as different Randomizer, we also have the ability to have solo diffusion missiles in the tournament. You needed to start with just base missiles in order to have access to any sort of upgrades. But now, we have the worst missiles in the game that only do half damage of normal missiles. So both of these runners are going to have very fun trying to get into Arachnus. That'll take... Ooh! And Morph Ball. So we got a Diffusion Morph Ball start. It'll take 5 diffusion missiles to get through that Ghidorah.
Yeah, this is diffusion missiles are pretty much the consensus worst starting item of this, as just with the very little damage output they have. The Morph Ball is required has to be here in order for you to be able to leave this section. So far they haven't gotten too much out of their checks, and it'll be a bit of an uphill battle to progress.
So it should be noted that this isn't a completely just fresh seed. This seed has been chosen and vetted specifically for this marathon. Oh,
looks like Herc's got power bombs.
Speaking of power bombs, we don't need bombs anymore either. So we have diffusions without missiles. We have power bombs without bombs. So that can get us deep into Sector 2. But since you don't have, like, unlimited bombs, it's a bit hairy.
Yeah, the two important things if you have power bombs without bombs are the very finite number of them you get, as well as power bombs don't make the Morph Ball jump in the air, which severely limits some of the different checks you can do. But with our starting sectors of 3 and 6, power bombs get you pretty far into 6, so that's going to open up a fair number of checks for them.
Oh, and if we find speed, there is actually a bit of a trick that you can actually unlock rain doors without needing regular bombs or spring ball. So we might see that. I don't think it's in the logic specifically, but we might see that coming into play to unlock green doors.
Yeah, I know Herc in particular is a big fan of doing those kind of little clips and other tricks that are outside the logic of the game, but very fun to do and can get him a huge advantage sometimes.
Well, it isn't even a clip. You just have to destroy the speed blocks in a specific way.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
there's a certain spot.
And you're into the green locks without regular bombs and without spring ball.
Yep.
Or high jump. And Speaking of speed booster, so green locks are on the table if we know what we're doing.
Yep, yeah, Herc seems pretty happy about that. And yeah, that's because there's no split security for this setting, the green doors that in Sector 3, if they're unlocked, will also unlock the blue doors, which gives both runners, either runner, access to all of the different sectors in the game.
Yeah, so it's a little bit unfortunate to unlock. Oh, we have Autumn making a reactor play very early, using those power bombs.
Very interesting routing choice here. Definitely could pay off huge if there's a check here. And as soon as you get power bombs, you have access to these items. However, it's it's certainly out of your way. So it's a high risk, high reward move.
Into lower sector 2 if you really, really want it.
I guess, yeah, with the speed booster, if you build up speed in the right way and you can release it at the right point, you can just barely get to the tunnel connecting main deck to sector 2.
But yeah, this reactor start is Hurt gets the 1 frame speed.
Oh wow!
Very nicely done. He's going straight for his green locks. Autumn doesn't find anything good in the reactor and resets out. Herc picking up some missiles because, man, 5 damage diffusion just feels bad. I mean, it feels bad to play. Very, very exciting and fun to watch, though. So that's good for us, bad for them.
Absolutely, it's our treat. Yeah, Autumn's low percentage play didn't necessarily work out, but it's luckily one of Autumn's biggest strengths is their smart use of save rooms in order to be able to minimize time lost with these kind of checks. So Autumn was able to soft reset back onto main deck and not lose too much time with that. Oh, there's Charge Beam for Herc right now, so he's got quite a lead at this point. That key item.
So I think this is a good point to explain, okay, what exactly do we need to do to beat the game in this randomizer? And there are really only 3 things that you need to do. You need to find Charge Beam, Plasma Beam, and you need to unlock your level 4 locks down in the bottom of Sector 4.
Yeah, and these red doors, at least within the logic of the game, require a couple more items. You'll need access to things like Speed Booster, Gravity Suit, which lets you use Speed Booster underwater. You'll need missiles, although I have missiles now, so... And I think...
you do also need some way to break Sector 5 in order to get into lower Sector 4. There's a couple different ways to go about that. But Herc is leaving Sector 3 and not unlocking his green doors earlier than the logic expects him to. So I believe Autumn knows about the trick to power bomb. So in order to unlock level 2 locks, you need to destroy a bomb block. And you'll probably see Autumn do this when she gets into that room to the left right now. But when you do that with a power bomb, you also destroy a block that Ooh, bombs! Oh, okay. Herc can just get into green doors.
Yeah,
there's no problem here.
Yeah, with the logic of the game, that's a very smart play, too, because that's a pretty high percentage check when you have a Sector 6 as one of your first 2 starts in Sector Shuffle. This is one of the only things you really can check without many items. And the game is going to give you bombs somewhere so that you can unlock those green doors. So, smart move of Herc. If you didn't know the trick, might as well go to Sector 6, pick up your bombs, and go back.
If
I were to guess, that'd probably be...
Sorry, I was going to say, do y'all mind if I jump in real quick? Because we have a donation from Avery
donations. Anytime, all the time.
I'm probably butchering this name, and I apologize. Avery Satos? I see them in chat. Yell at me if I got it wrong. $5, your Metroid dad joke. Why is Morphball one of the first upgrades Samus usually gets? Because that's just how she rolls. Also, with a side comment of save the animals. So I think that $5 goes to the save the animals, which has us now at words. I'm stumbling all over them.
Don't worry, words are hard. Don't worry about it.
They are hard. But I think that puts us at 115 for kill the animals, 95 for save the animals. So if you want if you want donations in for that, get them in now because we don't have a whole lot longer in this marathon to go, so we gotta get those in before we get to the point in the run where they need them. Also, more dad jokes. We still got Dark Moon on comms. The more we can make him groan and just upset that we're giving dad jokes, the more joy I'm finding in this. So like, lots of dad jokes. Keep them coming. All right, guys, back to you.
I apologize in advance then. But
no apologies needed.
Herc has unlocked his green doors, which also unlocked the level 1 blue doors, so he has full reign of every sector.
Autumn's in the same mode, and it looks like there's a key divergence, I guess, where Autumn is going to clean out Sector 3, and Herc is just moving on, checking out other sectors, so it's one of the first big splits in the routing and the run.
Okay, Autumn, what's your... Well, Autumn finds a major in the powerbomb check of mid-Sector 3, but forgets that she... Oh, well, Herc is fine. I was about to say, oh no, Herc dropped his speed boost to get into Sector 1, but he has power bombs. He just used the power bombs.
Indeed. But yeah, that check that Autumn had to reset out of, even though there's a major there, that item is so high up off the ground that you're going to need either high jump or space jump, or potentially ice missiles.
Really, really fancy bomb placement. I'm looking at you, Jagger.
Yeah, for those
Autumn is going...
Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead.
For those unfamiliar with Metroid Fusion versus other Metroid games, a lot of Metroid games allow you to chain bomb jumps together to get arbitrary amounts of height, and one of the more frustrating mechanics in Fusion is that it's probably the only 2D Metroid where you can't do that unless you do a frame-perfect trick, which a couple runners are able to do. But I do not believe either of these runners go for that trick very often.
Autumn finding her bombs at the first item of Sector 6, and Herc building up speed to get the 2 items above lava moat. So we'll see what's in the top of Sector 1. And just some extra stuff, nothing special, but enough energy that Herc can go and do the lava dive itself. And seeing missiles, he just turns around and gets out of there before he dies.
Yeah, that lava dive is one of the first damage run checks in the game under normal circumstances. So lots of runners are familiar with it. You generally want at least 2 energy tanks to make the full lava dive safely. Ideally 3.
You can do it with 2. You really want 3.
Personally, I like 4. I always miss a jump or 2, and then I end up dying if I only go with 3.
But Autumn is heading back into Sector 3 to unlock her green locks. So, with Sector Shuffle, I've done a couple of seeds, but I find that once you get to level 2 locks, the ordering in which you do sectors is very, very similar to just how it was without the shuffle. Just because level 3s only unlock stuff in Sector 5, really, and level 4s are what you need to finish the game. There's not really much other than blues and greens for sector access.
Yeah, that's definitely the main impact is the first couple minutes of the randomizer run, and it's a welcome change because without sector shuffle, the first 10-15 minutes of the randomizer can often be pretty linear due to the limited number of checks each.
Yeah, do you want to go to Sector 1 or Sector 2?
Exactly. Sometimes, occasionally you get seeds that make you have to think outside the box in order to figure out how to cobble together the right items to let you progress. Sometimes seeds will give you screw attack, which is an alternate method to switch between sectors, and then at that point all bets are off. But this seed was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so at the moment, Herc is certainly ahead just in terms of number of checks and number of sectors. But Autumn certainly has the informational lead in knowing that a major is down in that powerbomb check. That she's going back to it.
Well,
she
now
does have diffusions.
Yeah, now that
she can freeze. Yeah.
Right, when she went here before, green doors weren't open yet, which meant that this I forget their name, wasn't spawned. Oh, wow, plasma beam. Critical check.
There's your... I mean, plasma and charge, they don't really unlock much, if anything at all. And Autumn is going for the somewhat tricky bomb jumps to try to get out of this room. And she's giving up, and she knows where plasma beam is. That is one of the very key go mode items that can just be anywhere. So that is very good for Autumn. Herc finishing up with charge core, going into Crab Rave, and leaving, saying that it's just some missiles.
Yep, Herc's completing the upper sector 1 circuit. You need very few major items to do almost all of the checks here, so it's definitely something Herc likes to check early. And so just cleaning that up, getting it out of the way, but unfortunately not super fruitful.
And Herc getting out of Sector 1, I don't think there was any majors that Herc found in Sector 1, so that was like a lot of checks. There's some good checks to be had early on, but there was just nothing there for us.
Nope, and despite Autumn being a bit behind in terms of number of checks, they're pretty much neck and neck in terms of what they actually have access to in terms of majors. Herc has the information that entire sector's, not worth checking, but Autumn has the location of plasma beam, so it's a bit close.
And we've got Ice Beam out of the maintenance duct. Very good for if you need to freeze stuff, especially if you've got, diffusions are your only source of ice. Ice Beam is very nice to have. Also, just good damage upgrade.
Yeah, it's a nice kind of luxury item. Very few, since they started with diffusion missiles, there are no checks that this unlocks, but you wouldn't say no to getting Ice Beam for free.
And since Autumn has her greens unlocked, she's going to check on the animals. Now, right now, hey Danny, could we get a check on the, well, that was an interesting place for her to stop on the Garen. Autumn finding her missiles, that is an extra 10 damage. She just tripled her missile damage. That's not bad. But Danny, can we get a check on that incentive to save or kill the animals right now? We're not anywhere near go mode, so we don't have to worry about cutting it off. I'm just curious.
Yep, I added the $5 and I did check it, and it looks like we are at 120 to save the animals and 90 to kill the animals. So we got like a $30 difference there. So if you want to save the animals, you're good, but if you don't, you got to get donations in to change it.
And since Autumn doesn't necessarily need to save the animals, she's just buggying out of there, and we'll see where she goes next. She's already checked Reactor, so I don't think she'll be heading back that way and heading back to the sectors proper. Herc heading into Sector 2, so he's got bombs. He's got ice, so he can get out, but it's not the cleanest exit.
And it looks like Herc's not going to go any deeper than these initial checks. You can use your diffusion missiles to jump out of lower 2, but it is kind of a pain and takes a while. So in a race scenario, it's not necessarily the best move. So Herc making the smart play here and sticking with the safer checks first. Maybe trying to find a jump item in order to make the rest of Sector 2 accessible.
Autumn also going into Sector 2, so we'll see her reach her. Ooh, we've got a major on Herc's screen. We've got the worst beam. Herc is not having a good time. Now he won't be able to hit anything, and his missiles only do 5 damage.
Yeah, if you do not have the wide beam upgrade, which neither runner has right now, this wave beam power up is quite the pain. It's a single beam piece that just kind of wiggles all over the place, makes it very difficult to hit enemies. So really more of a downgrade than anything, but there are a couple checks it unlocks, so who knows.
And it certainly does make routing a little nicer, especially if you want to, say, backdoor Sector 1, but Herc's already done Sector 1. So he doesn't really want that.
Yeah.
Autumn going behind the Kago in order to get just a little bit more energy. Because everything in Sector 2 hurts. It hurts a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, these Zoros, they're what, 45 damage a hit? Like, they're slow-moving caterpillars, sure, but you're moving fast, you're moving sloppily. That's half an E-tank. It's not nice, especially when you get into the key hunters. Those just demolish you.
Oh, those are definitely brutal, especially with no suit upgrades. Each of the suit upgrades, Varia suit, gravity suit, reduce your damage. So if you have to run into the key hunters without any upgrades, that is, watch out.
Just as a little bit of trivia or a note, we can get into Ripper Tower. We don't have to worry about finding Space Jump and Plasma Beam in order to get in here anymore. Kaz just got rid of the cocooned Zoro right here, so thank you very much. I very much appreciate having those two checks always open.
Yeah, that was a great quality of life change that we're all pretty appreciative, because there were, before this, there was an odd quirk in the randomizer logic where the check would be available at the beginning of the game and, you know, once you have almost all your majors, but if you got high jump, then the check would suddenly become off limits until you got other items, and that created a lot of headaches and a lot of unbeatable seeds, so glad to have that issue resolved.
And high jump is, you know, very, very early on, because generally speaking, you need high jump in order to unlock your greens, in order to get to Sector 5 and Sector 6. But we have Autumn going down the front way, and Herc just leaving. He didn't go any deeper than just Ripper Tower. So he's heading into Sector 4. Autumn at the bottom of Sector 2. We'll see. Grabbing some more energy.
Yeah, you see, I think Autumn picking up the Ice Beam is what's making the big difference here. Autumn's gonna have a lot easier time leaving lower Sector 2, so it's a lot less risky to make all these checks, and could potentially end up being a big advantage if there's a major down here.
And Herc does have Wave Beam, but it should be noted he only has 3 E-tanks. It would be a bit tight, if not impossible, in order to get the check in early Sector 4. And he also just skipped by that powerbomb check. So we'll see what checks he makes.
Yeah, with the new randomizer logic giving early power bombs a lot more often, that check right at the beginning of Sector 4 for power bombs is one certainly I miss all the time. A lot of runners have been, but that has a pretty high percentage check in this version. So hopefully one or both of them remembers to take a look.
Heck, that check has been go mode for me. The very end of the seed, without Sector Shuffle, without power bombs, only, I should say. But Herc going ahead and lowering the water, so he should have access to a few more checks. Ooh, we do have a major down in lower 2. We've got Space Jump, which is, I mean, it's good for movement, but it feels bad for movement.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, but you know, it does unlock several checks, and it makes leaving places like Sector 2 a lot easier. There's the unfortunate downside that you can no longer wall jump with Space Jump, which certainly slows some runners down and throws people off. But ultimately, without having high jump, Space Jump will let you get out of a lot of jams. And that also means that Autumn can go pick up Plasma Beam in Sector 3 at that check from a while ago.
And we have Herc engaging the Sea Serpent Ceres. Not one of Autumn's favorite bosses to fight, so this might be the only Ceres activity that we see today.
That is true. Autumn's pretty notable for saying Ceres is, and I quote, never worth it. So this might...
Let's see. Herc only has the fusions, so it takes 10 missiles, but let's see, he's got Charge Wide, I don't know off the top of my head
Charge wave.
how much that does. Charge wave. Oh, no. Yeah, charge wave. Because wave and wide both start with W. It's not nice for trackers. But pretty quickly getting rid of Ceres. It only takes 50 damage in its regular form. But like, man, if you only had diffusion missiles, just imagine 10 shots and then you just wait for it to wiggle around for a little bit between shots. Ugh.
That would be that would take like almost like 7 minutes or something like that. But you know, this is where Herc's long history of a speedrunner of this game and his like talent in movement really pays off, as he's able to hit the flare on the charge beam both times to make the kill Ceres in the minimum number of hits, making very quick work of that boss track.
But Herc obviously not very happy about just seeing a missile tank upgrade out of Ceres.
I heard you mention. Sorry. See, I heard you mention getting rid of things, and which brings up a donation we've got from Jack Goliath, and I'm probably butchered that too. I'm telling y'all, just yell at me in chat because I know I'm getting these wrong. $20 donation that says "Save the frames, not the animals," which has us now at 120 for save and 110 for kill.
Just $10 difference between going faster or making some friends.
Yeah, that's a pretty close incentive there. If you have any interest in the outcome either way, I'd highly recommend donating and making an impact on this race.
Oh, Herc is trying to see what's down there. It looks like it's a major.
Ooh, this could be pivotal. There was also a major, I believe, a missile upgrade up by Ceres.
It's just a powerbomb tank.
Oh, that's too bad. So yeah, as mentioned earlier, now that Autumn has space jump, she is able to go pick up plasma beam in Sector 3, and that seems to be what she's doing right now, especially now that she has wave beam and could really use the damage boost. So that's certainly what we're going to see next.
And since we have diffusion, Herc is also going to check that very early lower 4 check. Oh, looked like he was thinking about it for a little bit, but he's definitely down here now. So
yeah, I'm
might as well
not
check.
sure why he's hesitating about it, but maybe there's some routing decision on his mind.
And there is Autumn with the plasma beam, and she can get out now. So that certainly puts her in a sizable lead, I would say, just because it's generally pretty hard to find the one place that plasma is.
Yeah, since plasma doesn't unlock any checks, it means it's a major that can really be anywhere in the game, in pretty much any seed. So it's probably the most often go mode item simply because of that. But now Autumn needs Gravity Suit and then one of either Varia Suit or Screw Attack, and then Autumn should have go mode at that point.
So Danny, just keep an eye on those donations, and once we tell you that Autumn's in go mode, we should probably cut off the donations, or maybe give a minute or two to get them in.
Okay, I will keep an eye on it and I will let you know. And I mean, if we have to cut off that donation, there's still time to get dad jokes in afterwards. I'm just saying.
Herc is deciding whether or not to go into the Notori area for... Oh, but he's already checked this.
Yeah,
Is he just going to fight Notori?
I think he might be trying to fight Notori and then backdoor into the main deck checks, which Autumn did, but Herc never did. And so it's a routing decision, and Herc does have what he needs in order to fight Notori, with the charge beam, a missile upgrade. You know, it's
And power bombs.
true.
Bombs.
That's true. Notori is one of the only bosses in the game that takes damage from power bombs. So I guess that
Notori
helps.
and Arachnus being the only two. And we saw both runners using power bombs against Arachnus because who wants to fight Arachnus with only 5 damage diffusion missiles? Ugh.
Yep, what a mess. So at this point, it looks like Autumn's going to be basically doing the whole Sector 3 loop, but not finding too much other than some energy tanks and other upgrades so far. But
And
now
she
that
really wanted that E-Tank.
I mean, there's a couple of checks in lower Sector 3 that involve taking a lot of damage, particularly the lava maze. I don't know if that's Autumn's
she already
favorite
she already checked that, so unless she's thinking going all the way to Gary or Frank or whatever you want to call wide for.
Something tells me that's probably not Autumn's move, but we'll see.
Right, that's low percentage. Herc finding space jump, so that'll open quite a few movement options for him, and deciding to go to Zazabi. Now, we saw Autumn skip Zazabi. It's not the friendliest speedrun boss because, I mean, it's basically an auto-scroller controlled by RNG, which is, you know, 2 words that you never want to see put together for a speedrun.
Yeah, between the RNG and the unique damage mechanics of Zazabi, which are based on number of hits rather than HP, Zazabi takes a fixed range of time from long to way too long to check, and so it's not generally the preferred check of any runner.
And we have Autumn finishing up the upper Sector 3 checks. There's one more powerbomb check that she's trying to get to, at least. And Herc finishing up the Zazabi fight. Autumn finding super missiles. That's another good damage boost for the missiles. So she's sitting at 35 damage. Not bad. She's only missing the ice missile upgrade.
Yeah, super missile's definitely the most impactful of the missile upgrades. Really the opposite of diffusion in that regard, and so makes running bosses a lot more pleasant. So maybe Autumn will give some consideration to boss checks now that she wasn't going to do beforehand. Who knows?
No, I was thinking that this was going to be a spicier seed than it's turned out. I'm just waiting to see where Screw Attack is hiding gravity suit or whatever, because so far it's been a decent seed.
Yeah, lots of major items in several different places, many opportunities for the routes to diverge, you know, and entertaining quality play from both runners. What's not to like?
So Autumn heading into Sector 4, Herc heading out of Sector 2, so we might see a Yakuza play?
I thought you have to KO Notori in order to head out this way, and I think Herc is now remembering that as well. So we'll see.
I believe that is the that's what happened.
Easy to forget that is a one-way transition until you get these nasty vines out of the way, which requires KOing Notori.
Autumn not liking what she found in Sector 4, so she is going to save scum just a little bit and head into upper Sector 4. Maybe just a little bit quicker than trying to get out of lower Sector 4.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely quicker. What am I thinking?
Yeah, with even with the extra cost of stopping to save, it saves a solid 20 or 30 seconds to do that simple save scum, and that's something Autumn will do every single time.
Autumn seeing the powerbomb tank, so I'm sure that she's not too worried about that. A little surprised that she doesn't just go up the front of the Ceres exit to find, what was that? It was a major that hurt.
I think it was regular missiles, right? Or is it ice?
No, Autumn found regular missiles next to animals.
Oh, it was ice missiles.
So,
then, yeah.
right side animals. So must have been ice missiles then.
Yeah, no, what's interesting though is you do that check right away if you weren't gonna fight Ceres. So we might see one of the rarest sights you'll ever see in Fusion Rando, which is Autumn voluntarily fighting Ceres.
But it's never worth it.
And we already know it is in this run too, so she's not gonna be happy about that if she makes that choice.
Autumn lowering the water so she can get the speed check, but bailing out, seeing that's only missiles right underneath that pump control. And, yeah, as everyone knows, Autumn doesn't fight Ceres.
Oh, so you're right. Yeah, I'm guessing Autumn will probably check those 2 items on the way out.
You're going. I'm confused. I'm scared. Chris, what's happening?
Oh no! I guess Autumn
Chris?
is going for Ceres.
Chris, what is this?
I think it's something we've never seen before, but Autumn's going for Ceres. Hey, and Herc found Ice Beam. Cool.
So Sector 5 still pretty much off limits completely, just because we don't have any Varia protection. It should be noted that Varia and Gravity, or rather, Gravity doesn't have any temperature protection in this version of the randomizer, contrary to what we had in the tournament. So that has been added in more recent memory. And Autumn having to do some underwater wall jumps, just taking a couple tries, but she gets it pretty quickly. So who is this, and what have they done with Autumn?
I don't know. I guess Autumn's having someone else run for them. Maybe I have no explanation otherwise. Why would we ever see Autumn in this fight?
Well, another fight that we're about to see is Herc is going to go ahead and make that Yakuza play. Picking up some more energy. Autumn finishing off Ceres in just 2 shots.
Yeah, I guess with super missiles, Ceres does get as fast as you can get without having to line up any charge beams, so I guess that's the one circumstance we'll ever see Autumn try this check. Unfortunately, didn't pay off.
Well, at least she'll be getting rewarded a little bit with finding ice missiles right on the other side.
Ice missiles, with the beam, it doesn't add any more checks, but it does make the end of the game significantly easier, allowing you to do the stun lock on the SAX fight.
And you can stun lock using Ice Beam, it's just a little trickier. But Ice Missiles makes it much easier.
Yeah, certainly. That's a trick that anyone who's ever speedrun vanilla Metroid Fusion knows very well. It's probably the first boss fight trick you need to learn when running that game.
And Herc is taking Yakuza very, very safely. He's not getting grabbed, he's just dodging all of the fire and hiding in the corner. As Autumn makes her way out of Sector 4. So I'm guessing, if I were to guess, Autumn's gonna go to Sector 6. She doesn't have Varia, so Blue X are gonna be a bit of a problem, but she has plenty of E-tanks, plenty of health. So that would be a bad dive to go down.
Yeah, and Autumn is pretty good at working her way through Sector 6 and stunning the Blue X, especially with Wave Beam. The check wouldn't be so bad, but it looks like instead she's going for Sector 1, which, as we know from Herc running that sector, not very productive.
Well, it's definitely the safer choice. We've got an invading mouse cursor over Herc's stream. Hopefully that doesn't distract him. Oh no, Autumn saving in Sector 1 and then leaving. She's going to be using Sector 1 as her save scum spot.
Huh?
And
oh, she's going to Sector 5.
Routing?
No, this is...
There's exactly one spot that she can check.
I think
So, I
she
mean-
might have enough tanks to get to Ripper Highway, right? So maybe 2? I'm not sure. I've never seen it done without.
I've never seen it done, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. It's a lot of health that she has, but it's also a lot of knockback and a lot of unnecessary damage trying to get into Ripper Highway.
Oh, this might.
But
really
we do
pay
see
off.
it's high jump, so it technically doesn't pay off.
Not really. A luxury item, a very nice to have. Will certainly make space jumping smoother, but probably not worth coming to Sector 5 early for.
Well, Autumn seems to think that it's at least good enough to keep, so she's going to be heading out of Sector 5 via the elevator instead of saving and quitting. But we'll see what sector she decides to go into next, if it's going to be Sector 1, which is the safer bet, but it doesn't have anything. So I think we've narrowed down our progression to Sector 6.
Yeah, it's got to be in there somewhere. Meanwhile, Herc is having a hell of a time with this Yakuza fight. Pardon me. Without having super missiles for this fight, this Core X takes an eternity to get through.
Well, so that's 25 damage, as opposed to usually you have 40 damage for this fight, so it's almost just a little over half. And Herc, not very happy, you only have a missile tank. And we do see Autumn heading into Sector 6.
Yeah, picking up all those E-tanks is may end up being a really key move for Autumn here, is having a lot more margin to deal with these different blue Core X's.
And now we have a bit of a... This is a bit of a tricky Core X, Blue X corridor. Lots of knockback, lots of health take. See, look at that. 5 E-tanks just evaporated, and she has to get back.
Look at that. What luck.
Well, I mean, never mind.
I've never seen a red X.
She can lose 5 E-tanks all over again and be just fine. So that's 3 full E-tanks, just gone, but she's moving.
Yeah, that's one of the roost rooms, Sector 6. The rest of it is relatively navigable, except for the very end. So maybe Autumn will luck out.
Yeah, so if she finds Varia at or before Varia Core, like right... Oh, White Beam!
Yeah.
Nice to have!
Very nice to have.
Good damage upgrade.
Speeds up the end of the game by about, what is it, like 90 seconds, 2 minutes or something like that? Some significant amount of time.
Easier, just easier to hit those Blue X. So at the very least, she should have a nicer time trying to get out of Sector 6. So Autumn checking the wine cellar down here. And finding another major, Sector 6. Very, very nice to us today.
And there's Variasuit. Wow.
And yeah, no longer have to worry about that Blue X, and we have access to Sector 5. So once Autumn unlocks her yellow doors, that'll trigger the destruction of Sector 5, and we'll be heading towards Flooded 5 and probably Gravity somewhere. We've got, what, 3 more checks that we can do in lower Sector 6, so unlikely that we'll see Gravity down here somewhere. Herc heading back into Sector 3, he'll find his plasma beam.
That's true, yeah. But at this point, I think Autumn is a pretty sizable lead, having found Variasuit. Autumn's only 1 check away from full go mode and able to finish the game. And with several other luxury items.
That's just Gravity.
Yeah, and Herc ended up burning a lot of time between that extra dip into Sector 2 and then that very long Yakuza fight. That's really setting him back here.
Yeah, and he decided not to dip into lower 2 earlier, so he missed out on his earlier space jump. And we've got another Major, screw attack. Okay, so the entire station is now open to us, save for just the Xbox fight, really.
Yeah, a couple red doors, but other than that, all of the different between sector tunnels are open, and all sorts of late game checks can be accessed now.
Did Autumn get to check the last missile tank on the way out? I didn't notice if she
Autumn did a
the map
very
isn't filled in there.
so you can just barely see that item without that part of the map being filled in.
Okay.
And so Autumn did a very quick space jump, took a look. It was like a missile tank, I think.
So Autumn going to destroy the screw attack blocks right here in order to get a look at Pillar Highway, which is probably the second or third worst check in the game. Herc is pretty famous for skipping this one. And finding a powerbomb tank. That's the reason why Herc skips that check.
Yeah, I think only one time in many seeds have I ever seen a major here. It is not a high percentage check and takes a lot of time, so very understandable to skip.
Autumn breaking out of the Pillar Highway. Herc heading to his first box fight. Of course, he could just space jump out of there if he really wants to.
I'm sure Herc wants to see what's in the data room. Maybe disappointed with the result, but we'll see. Now that Herc's got, does Herc have supers? Huh.
No, Herc does not have supers. Supers are right on the other side of the box fight. They're in that upper 3 powerbomb check.
Ah, right.
So he'll be happy to see those when he loops around. Autumn opting not to take the shortcut into 3, so she is heading into 5 right now. Into 1. Not to be confused with 5. Well, we know that Sector 1 is a bust. Autumn does not know that Sector 1 is a bust.
Yes, this could be Herc's best opportunity to catch up, because this loop takes a fairly sizable amount of time, unless Autumn's leaving Sector 1 right away.
He's thinking about it. Herc picking up his supers. He's got full missiles now. Everyone's doing 45 damage a missile. Might take forever to reload, but Autumn going in the green door side entrance. Not often that you see entry into Sector 1 through here, but you do skip that first stabilizer room.
Yeah, and I think this does save a sizable amount of time when you do have the opportunity to do it. And with Sector Shuffle, that does happen more often. It's just usually you don't have green doors when you're here, so it's not available.
Yeah, and it certainly helps that you don't have to double back over things that you've already seen, the hornet hole specifically. So that's just time that you don't have to waste.
Mm-hmm. A very intelligent
Herc heading
routing.
into Sector 6. So at the bottom here, Herc's going to find his Varia suit and his screw attack, and then it's wherever he wants to go from there.
Yep, just as we thought, this is going to be Herc's prime opportunity to catch up. As soon as Autumn's going to be stuck in a loop without any majors, and Herc's going to be able to basically be one major away from go in just a couple of minutes.
So Autumn will be able to finish up the Sector 1 loop a bit faster than Herc, just because higher damage output, more or less. Herc skipping that Blue X hallway, doesn't have the Varia, doesn't feel like he has the energy. It's like, well, why not? Why risk it? If we're looking for Varia suit, you don't want it to be behind a bunch of those Ice X.
Yeah, and besides, if Herc really thinks Varia suit is here, which, I mean, we know it is, Herc can just do the check on the way out with no time loss or anything, so might as well. So one thing to note about Autumn being in Sector 1 this late is now that Autumn has Screw Attack, she actually has access to 2 checks that Herc did not. Whether or not she makes them, we'll remains to be seen, but she could dip down into Ridley and do those 2 checks. Maybe something's there?
I mean, she could fight Ridley if she wanted to. She has plasma, she has charge. In fact, she just has full beam.
Oh,
she
right,
just has
yeah.
full beam.
That wouldn't even be that bad, I guess.
So that's 3 checks really out of the way. Like, you don't want to go down there if you don't have to. But if there's anyone in the chat, go donate or go use points on Autumn's channel to engage Ridley. I'm curious to see if she actually interrupts her own. This should have been the incentive. Engage Ridley, not save the animals. Well, that's just my opinion.
I don't know. It's fun to have the back and forth of save or kill, and Ridley can be under the wrong circumstances.
Why don't you just save
tedious.
Ridley then? Save Ridley or kill Ridley.
Is Ridley not an animal?
That's the real bidding war. Autumn checking the hornet hole, not finding anything good, and deciding to leave through the lava dive green doors. I guess she doesn't want to go through that stabilizer room, but seems just a little slow.
Yeah, I think this is the wrong move, but I wouldn't know for sure. But not a huge difference.
It is a little annoying to try to get out of that lava without gravity.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a pain, especially with screw attack breaking the blocks you're trying to grab.
And Herc is on his way out of Sector 6 with his screw attack and Varia suit in tow.
So at this point, they are pretty much neck and neck. We have an even race. No significant major item differences between them, and so it's a hunt for gravity suit at this point.
So an interesting thing to note about Sector Shuffle is that there are a few checks in those intra-sector shortcuts. Where's Autumn going? Anyway, I'm being sidetracked. There are 2 sectors specifically, Sector 5 and Sector 3, that have checks very close to shortcuts. So usually this hallway leads to I can't believe it's not Sector 6, which is a check in Sector 5, but we're going to Sector 1 instead.
Yep. Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Why is Autumn going back through Arachnus? Did she skip Arachnus?
Well, she skipped actually
Arachnus.
fighting Arachnus, because you got the Morph Ball early, you didn't have to, and now this is a 5-second check.
I wasn't paying attention. I thought she just fought Arachnus because power bombs. But she saves Scums out of Arachnus just to make sure that he doesn't have anything important. And Herc checking the one, usually 2 connector.
Yeah, the right connector in Sector 1.
I think did Autumn make that check above that green door?
Yeah, that was Autumn's first check in the sector, so at this point they've both seen everything in one, and I think...
Is Herc going where I think he's going?
There's nowhere else he could be, I think. He's got to be going down. And,
well, I mean, he
out.
could be going crazy, but also he could also be going to Ridley at the same time.
I mean, what's the difference,
Wait. Both runners are doing this.
We're seeing both
runners going down to Ridley at the same time. And neither runner has checked out Sector 5 yet. Yeah, I'm guessing both runners are thinking, man, it's an hour long. We're an hour into this seed. I don't know where gravity is. If gravity was in Sector 5, the other runner must have been there ages ago. Especially since Varia was in the bottom of 6, which has been open since the very beginning.
Indeed.
So both of both of them are making the oh no panic. This is the route.
Yeah, and you can see it on both their faces. Really, they're both a little stressed out, feeling a bit like they must be so far behind, even though they're in virtually the exact same spot.
In fact, they are almost they're room for room right now.
Wow. Rare you see this 1 hour
guessing.
into a rando run.
I'm also guessing we're 1 hour into a rando run that was curated. So there's going to be a little bit of meta mind games about, okay, what horrible thing has CZ brought into this world, and we have the same door transition at the exact same time between Autumn and Herc at the bottom of Ridley, and neither of them have checked Sector 5.
Oh, are they both going to go fight Ridley? Jesus. Wow.
See, I told you, like I said, this should have been the incentive to engage Ridley.
Well, we didn't need an incentive to see apparently a very spectacular boss fight that is one of the very rarest checks in the randomizer. All at nearly the exact same time. This is incredible.
And they're going in with the same loadout. Herc doesn't have quite as many E-tanks as Autumn.
Yep, Herc's got a few more missiles.
65-14 versus 45-18.
So Herc's...
But you really want to be using that plasma beam to get as many frames of damage onto Ridley as possible.
Absolutely. Herc's very accomplished at this fight from his years of speed running. However, Autumn's the only one with super missiles, so we'll get through the core X at the end, maybe 3 or 4 shots faster, so who knows who will win. And they're both going to just get power bomb tanks after this anyway, though, so...
Well, let's see if Zeke gave us gravity at Ridley. I mean, it's possible. It's in the logic.
And they both expressed a preference for difficulty 5 specifically to try to get as many possible items on Ridley as could be done, but...
And it's a missile tank.
Yep. Herc showed us that with a very clean, very fast Ridley fight, by the way. Very impressive movement there, but it's just a missile tank.
But how hype would that have been if that was gravity?
And this was so cool to see both runners thinking outside the box.
Both
in the
runners
same
making
way.
the same gamble. And Autumn resetting out of Ridley just as well.
Oh, they're gonna get a kick out of this when they realize what happened.
Oh man, this... Well, I mean, it's obvious the reason that they both went to Ridley. It's because neither of them had been to Ridley, and they couldn't have seen what the other one got down at Ridley. That's the only reason that they went down to Ridley.
Must have been. And now it looks like Herc was gonna go check Sector 5, and now he's heading up to main, he's safe scumming in 1, then going down to 5. Not really sure why, because I think he's cleared 1.
You can't shortcut into 5 without yellow doors. You can make that one check. And I can't believe it's not Sector 1.
Oh, I guess he can.
But Autumn heading into Sector 5. We'll see you're heading down to yellow locks in order to break Sector 5. And we have high jump. That's right. That was the one check that Autumn made in Sector 5 earlier.
And at this point, they have identical loadouts, I think. Except for, the minor items, so it's really a movement race through Sector 5 to find gravity suits specifically.
And other than wide core could be a super troll gravity. Way out of the way. I could see Zeke throwing that at us.
I guess
it must be in the back of both runners' minds.
The other ridiculous place gravity I think could be you could get vanilla gravity on Nightmare.
You could get vanilla gravity on Nightmare. We haven't seen Notori yet.
That is true.
Neither runner has fought Notori yet. And we do have access to Zazabi Speedway now that we got Screw Attack from Sector 6.
Yep. Yeah. There's the two different Sector 2 checks. The Crumble City, and yeah, what you just said, Zazabi Speedway. So there's 4 checks to be made there.
Now, I remembered Zazabi Speedway specifically because that is the check that I missed to lose to Autumn, the last charity marathon appearance that she made.
Oh, that's right. That is such a sneaky check, and so easy to let slip your mind.
Especially if you had already fought Zazabi earlier.
Honestly, that's one of the main reasons I put off Zazabi when I can, just because I know I won't go back.
So we have Autumn finishing up the rest of the checks in lower 5. Finding a missile in 1. Herc is just heading back up. He's saying, there are 2 checks there. Take a little while to get up and down to. I'm just gonna go back because Sector 5 is flooded and I can get into the nightmare area.
I think it's that meta thinking about the curated seed. Maybe maybe the idea of vanilla gravity has seeped into Herc's mind. Oh wow!
Autumn, yeah, those underwater wall jumps are just absolutely brutal on your thumbs. Especially that one specifically. That one's a long one.
Right,
Probably the longest one that you'll see a runner really attempt.
Yeah, but it just goes to show how polished and solid Herc's movement is, being able to get those 6 consecutive low frame wall jumps in order to get out.
Takes me more than 6. And
Autumn's
Autumn is doing the alternating strategy. So that works too.
Yeah.
Herc's checking the crow's nest.
Easier.
Not finding anything. And Herc is considering, okay, what...
So normally that's 5 to 3, and so Herc's instincts are go check the item at the end of the tunnel in 3, but since I think at the very last minute Herc remembered that because of Sector Shuffle, there's no item there.
Yeah, we were sort of talking about quality of life changes earlier, but if there's one quality of life change that I would like, it's routing wise. Yeah, 4 doesn't have anything there. I wish that the Sector 5 data room didn't break when the rest of Sector 5 did. So that you can make that loop or you can enter it from the backside, really.
Yeah, that crumbled door, combined with the wave gate and the sharp fall, makes that data room check surprisingly difficult to be able to reach. You pretty much have to have space jump and broken 5 in order to actually get that check, and it would be nice to be able to check it in more circumstances.
Autumn checking the speed trap in early 5, but man, it looks like Herc's passed out because he's in the middle of a nightmare.
It's going for that vanilla gravity. He must have been listening to us, obviously. I'm kidding.
Yep. Unfortunately for him, Autumn has found gravity. She's in go mode.
And Herc is trapped in a very long boss fight, so Autumn's got the clear lead here, and this is around the point where we'd want to probably get only 1 more minute left on that donation incentive, so we can see whether or not they'll save or kill the animals.
Danny, are you with us?
I am.
Nope.
I thought I unmuted.
Yes.
And I guess I didn't. No more donations have come in. So right now we're still $10 up for saving the animals.
Okay. Well, I suppose we need to let the runners know individually, because we don't really want to tip. we don't want to tip Herc's hand to say that, yeah, Autumn's in go mode right now. But we need to let Autumn know that she needs to get up to Sector 1 and let those animals go.
Alright,
I'll drop a DM quick.
Okay, you beat me to it because I was about to do the same thing. I was looking for her in my list.
Mm-hmm. That's... Yep, no message has been sent. Meanwhile, Herx looks absolutely heartbroken that nightmare gamble did not pay off, and I'm sure when he sees this VOD, he's going to be all the more frustrated, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a very easy, just get yellow locks, and yeah, that, you know what, that was probably, he needed to check those 2 checks.
Yep.
Garubis and Pseudo 6. Before thinking about going to Nightmare, because, well, we're seeing it now.
I think it's that thinking we were mentioning earlier, that, you know, once they've been in a race for over an hour, you know, you start to get desperate, you start to think, I can't do every check, I need to make the big plays. And so I think Herc putting off the easier Sector 5 checks in favor of Nightmare was a gamble that unfortunately just didn't pay off.
And we have Autumn leaving Sector 4, so not very much time left on this seed. And Herc is certainly behind the 8 ball. There he is, finding his gravity suit.
Yeah, it would take...
Maybe you should have just... oh, you first.
it would take quite a lot for Herc to be able to catch up at this point. Autumn would need to suffer a death in one of the 2 boss fights, basically, but at this point, it's
Yeah, but, yeah, and Autumn has plenty of health. I mean, you really only need 5 E-tanks to be comfortable, and we're sitting at, what, 8?
Yeah, especially with the ice missiles to get the stun lock very easily. This is going to be no problem. But first, Autumn's saving the animals. I'm gonna DM Herc as well while I remember.
And he's just about at red doors, so that'd be just about the time where... So, I don't think... I mean, I'm sure Herc is feeling behind, just because of the placement of that gravity suit, and also he checked Ridley. I mean, come on, if you check Ridley, you're always behind. So, I'm sure Autumn is also feeling just like, oh man, plenty of mistakes in routing have been made to come to this point.
Yeah, it was definitely a very chaotic seed near the end with this gravity hunt, taking them in every different direction, and ultimately, they checked nearly everything in the station, and it was simply just that one decision that decided the entire race.
Mm-hmm. And Autumn is heading back up to the command deck. I'll get that straight to her.
Cool. Alright, animals have been saved, and now it's time for Autumn to engage the SAX. Meanwhile, Herc's making pretty fast work of Sector 4, to his credit.
Yeah, if there's anything that Herc has, it's practice technique and movement. He's been a bit busy and distracted, so I don't think he's had as much time really learning this sector shuffle and sort of the subtleties of the logic of, okay, where am I expecting to see this? Because every time that there's something new introduced to the randomizer, there's going to be new, randomizer logic, and that will change where things are placed.
Right, you basically have to throw out all of your instincts every time an update significantly changes what you have access to. So it can be difficult to keep up with.
So you're saying we should use the targeting computer?
Yeah, worth a shot.
But we have Autumn finishing up Ice Core while Herc is saving those animals. And a new path has been set. New route for this space station. Because we're about to deorbit into SR388. Make sure that those gelatinous X-parasites just don't exist anymore. No more sequels. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
This is the last Metroid game in canon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Certainly the last.
if they hadn't made one in
X-Parasite.
like 20 years, they're not going to make another one, right?
Right.
That would be dreadful.
I remember as the Rando was being worked on, there was some message in the Discord that's like, if they announce Metroid Dread, I'll drop the randomizer tomorrow, as a joke, as just a one-off comment. And wouldn't you know it, the very next day, Nintendo announced the revival of a game that had been dead for over a decade.
And ooh, Autumn gets the bounce, so she doesn't quite get the entire way into the hangar.
It still gets the swag boost, but gets knocked at the very end of the tunnel.
He's going for Pogo. Nope. Pogo, no go. Well, I can't tell if she's supremely confident in going for Pogo, or just feels like she's so far behind, we might as well go for Pogo.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I see her try that a lot. You know, it's fun.
And Herc absolutely nailing that stun lock.
Absolutely, definitely. Herc caught up relatively quickly. Has made up a lot of ground on Autumn, but unfortunately, it's just fighting Nightmare just takes too long.
Autumn finished with the Omega Metroid, and we'll be seeing a done very shortly. Herc going for those doubles on the ice core. In order to get doubles, you need to fall into the core. And that is a 111.36 that I saw for Autumn.
Yep, that's what I saw. And it's going to be maybe a minute and a half later for Herc here.
Though I do notice that the timers are desynced, so Herc's timer was a little bit ahead.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
In the race
now
room,
on the escape route. Yes.
In the race room, it had it as a 1:11:44. On her own clock, it's a 1:11:15. So I'd err on the side of her own timer for this one, just because streaming and all that. But
right. We're seeing the 20-30 second delay of her stream. Herc going for the low height, not getting it, getting the bounce. The next question is Herc going to Pogo today? He is going to Pogo. He's going to speed Pogo. Oh, he tried to speed Pogo, which is the other way to Pogo. Oh! He had the speed. He had the charge. He didn't get it off, though.
Oh, it's too bad. He seems more disappointed about that than the race, honestly.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I had that. And in the credits, we now see major item locations. So that's a nice little update to the credit scroll.
Yeah, it's if you know these 2-digit coordinate codes, this credit scroll can be a really handy way to learn where that one major you were looking for was hiding. And
I mean, it looks like we might see a little bit of planned security shuffle. Some security rooms are labeled as security rooms. Why is that labeled in the item areas?
That would be a very interesting feature to see once that gets developed, as the game could get very, very interesting when you don't exactly know where to go to open doors.
Well, should we grab the runners and bring them up into the marathon broadcast?
Yeah, it sounds good. It looks like we're still waiting for Autumn to jump back on, but any minute now. I'd love to talk to both of them, get their thoughts.
Well, Herc just jumped off, so who knows what's happening.
I was gonna pull him in and he disappeared on me.
I also noticed that Autumn accidentally .done slashed before she .donned. Dark Moon has the instructions for our runners to... and there's our winner, Autumn Out of Habit. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you, thank you. Finally get to take a W against Hercules bench press. Barely.
So, I do have... This is a question for both of you. Why did both of you decide to go to Ridley at the same time?
I was desperate.
It was a oh, go ahead.
I wanted to give our viewers a treat, and I thought that with a marathon seed, it could be.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
doing 5 before Ridley, but
that's literally the same reason I had to. I'm just like, I could see whoever vetted the seed to, put Ridley in there. That's why I also went to fight Nightmare, and I'm completely kicking myself for not going left.
Well, yeah, so...
I was about to go save and then go do Nightmare. That's when I was talking about finding sectors.
Yeah.
That was the operative defining feature of why Autumn won and Herc came in second, is that Herc went to fight Nightmare, Autumn went to go save before fighting Nightmare, checking that Garubus check and finding Gravity.
I completely forgot about that room. I was lucky that I got distracted on my way to the save room by going for the backup speed trap.
You forgot about Mama Garubus?
I did.
But it was really incredible to see you both converged on fighting Ridley at exactly the same time, went room for room into the fight, and basically were tied from then on out. I've never seen anything like it.
Herc thought he was significantly behind. I wasn't buying it.
I was way behind the entire seed, and because literally halfway through this seed, I know that Autumn had all of the majors except for Gravity, and I'm like, I've got Charge Beam and Missiles.
Oh yeah, when I told you about trying to do a Scotty strat, I was trying to bomb jump out of plasma.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we saw that, and we were like, well, she's trying to channel the spirit of Jagger, but it's not quite there.
I wanted to give it a few tries because it would have been great, and I wanted to know if something was there. That information was still very helpful.
That was very valuable information.
You got out, right?
No, I reset out,
she,
and then I went back in when I got a jump.
You should have given it 5 more minutes. You probably would have got it.
Nope. It was a race. I think I gave it 5 tries. It didn't work. I reset and said, I'll come back for this when I can get it. Plasma's not progression.
Yeah, Autumn, I think the fanciest bomb jumping you and I can do is just to get that little boost into that room while the power bomb's going off, so we don't have to grab the ledge.
Oh, that one's free. There's a setup for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, it's free. That's the one that we can do.
The Sector 6 one above Megacore, that one I get about half the time.
Oh, not bad. That's the one where we've got Screw Attack this time.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to remember what was up there. That Varia location was fun, too.
Oh my god. At a certain point, I think 6 and 5 are the only ones that I haven't explored, and I'm like, well, it's gonna be anywhere. It's gonna be in 6, and I almost went to 5 first, but I turned around.
Autumn got Varia first, but she hadn't done the Sector 1 loop yet. So, while she was doing the Sector 1 loop and getting nothing, you were catching up very quickly, Herc. And that's when both of you converged and went, you know what? We're going to engage Ridley.
So the reason I put off Sector 1 was from talking with Herc. I knew he had done it and didn't find anything, but I thought there was a chance gravity was there and he was holding out on me.
Yeah. I was trying to play mind games. I was trying to get her to fight bosses too. I was just like, oh man, I fought a boss and boy was
you got me to go back for
Arachnis.
I was wondering about that because I've been meaning to ask you the whole time. What was your thinking with fighting Saris? I don't know if I've ever seen you do that.
Honestly, with the way that I wanted to route the sector, it would have taken just as long to check under Broken Bridge and check Saris' escape without gravity. It's just as fast to fight Saris when I have the equipment, and now that I can actually do that fight.
Yeah, those 35 damage missiles, just vaporize that snake.
Did you like the pseudo screw strat for the last hit?
I did. That was quite good.
That's one of my favorites on Saris. Get the missile for the free setup and then just jump at it.
Oh, especially when you're sitting with charge and wave. That's 50 damage, isn't it?
48. If it was 50, it would one shot.
Almost 50.
Sorry to the FFR fans for doing math on Twitch. That is a thing we don't do around here.
It's okay,
Actually,
it was for charity, we forgive you.
I mean, I was doing plenty of math going, okay, what missiles do we got? Okay, how much damage are we doing? But I think that pretty much covers it for what I was going to ask. Chris, do you have anything else that you want to ask Autumn or Herc?
Oh, no, you pretty much covered it. Yeah, it was excellent race. Great to watch.
Any final thoughts, runners?
I just want to thank the FFR community for putting this on and for having us and giving us a very nice time slot. And Herc, thank you for the challenge. I finally got my run back.
Yeah, no, big shout outs to the community for hosting this and having us on. But yeah, congrats, Autumn, for on the win. It was a really close one. It was really really good contest. I'm glad it was as close as it was.
I just wanted to note that neither of you checked Crumble City or Zombie Speedway, and I'm very disappointed.
I didn't have screw until there was just density elsewhere. I was gonna do 2 after 5 if it was nothing.
That's literally a comment I made like as I was going up to fight the SAX. I was like, that the only like items that I really have left to check are mostly in Sector 2. It's Notori, Crumble City, and the Zazabi Speedway items, and that was really like the items that I hadn't checked up until that point. So if it wasn't, in Sector 5, I was going to back to Sector 2.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my routing. I was going to do Crumble,